Hey guys, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I know that you guys have been waiting for a while, and of course, Fabian will be doing the apology. He's the reason
Yes,
why.
yes. Let me just jump in here and say I do apologize. I just had a podcast on my show, Game Changers with Fabian Lyon, that went a little longer than expected. So I do apologize to everybody in the audience.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're going to get started, and as you can see, guys, we're just here tonight to do a recap on the Grand Slam, which we were a part of as a media crew. Both of us, we were there, HP Chat Track, and of course, Game Changers with Fabian, and we had a great time. And we just want to share some of what we observed, some of what we learned, how we were treated, and all of that. So, welcome everyone, wherever you're coming from, whether you're coming from Europe, Africa, Asia, Antarctica, Oceanic, North America, South America. Welcome. Special hello to Josiah. Josiah, hello, hello to you. And we're going to get quickly into it. Fabian, what a weekend of track and field we had.
Incredible. And if you didn't know before, it would be hard to imagine that this was just the debut of the Grand Slam, track series, at least the US debut here. But it went seamless. I was there for 2 of the 3 days. And I got to tell you, for a first time event there, was really remarkable as far as, and what really stood out for me was the energy. The energy was so high. The athletes, they just seem to have a little extra pep in their step. Obviously, the $100,000 grand prize for each division winner might have played a part in that, but it just seemed like they were really enjoying the the meet that much more.
I totally agree with you. The energy was at a different level. It was at a different level. And what I found very interesting too is that it was so early in the season, and to see the energy with the athletes, and they performed. They did not just show up, but they also performed. But let me ask you though, Fabian. Tell me a little bit about some of the performances in your mind that stood out. I mean, I know that there were a lot, they were all great performances, but we were in the
Right.
back, so we didn't get to see much. But based on the little that you have seen, what stood out to you the most?
Well, I love human interest stories. So outside of times and all that stuff, Ja'Cory Patterson really stood out for me. He clocked a world leading 43.98 in the quarter. And his story, we know his story. Those who might not, he has had to make that sacrifice of taking on a UPS job overnight. This young man is really a shining example of the dedication that we have seen so often in track and field. And for him to be taking on this overnight job at UPS, packing these trucks, and then to turn right around and go into training really speaks to his commitment to the sport. So of all of them, I'd say because of that human interest story, his story stands out the most to me from this
I,
weekend.
I and I want to agree with you on that. His story was the highlight for me, the highlight of the meet. And when I look at his schedule, he goes to work. He works from 10:45 p.m. to 4 a.m. He goes home, gets some sleep. He's back at training by 9:30. Then he goes back home, sleep, and he repeats that. So I was super excited for him that he was able to win that $50,000. It was just, I think that's a story that a lot of people will remember. Another performance for me, even though I said there's so many to pick from, is that Paulino in the 200 meters running a national record of 22.30 seconds. That was just outstanding. That was remarkable also. Your thoughts on Melissa Jefferson's 10.75 in May, early May, even though it was dated.
To your point earlier, I mean, so early in the track season and to be running these times was just really just fascinating. The amount of world leading times, personal best, national leading times was just really, really remarkable. And just once again, I think it really spoke to the conditions there and the energy level as well. So amazing.
Indeed, indeed. But let us talk a little business here. The prize
Hmm.
money and the motivation. Do you
Right.
think that prize money will change how athletes prepare for their season and also competitions in general? Because if the Grand Slam keeps this calendar, then we will see the series starting as early as April. Do you think that athletes will now starting to get ready earlier in the year instead of going into the summer?
Yeah, that's a great point. And if we had any reservations about it being a year-round training regimen, well, I think we're going to erase any doubts with this. I mean, money is still the greatest motivator as far as I'm concerned, and rightly so for these athletes who have really been underserved in that area as far as their monetary compensation. Is something that we discuss all the time. And I just want to say shout out to Michael Johnson, for this icon to really have a vested interest in these current crop of stars when he could easily have just retired and made his appearances and do his track commentary. But for him to really put this whole, I call it this is a revolution to me. This is what it is. This is a revolution that he has started, and people have taken notice, and he is setting a template. Now, whether he's able to sustain it is another question, but he's put a template out there that, you know what, we need to change some things up. And this two event format here with the prize money, obviously in each division for $100,000. And what I like is that all eight finishers take home some nice pocket money too. You know.
So at the end of the day, there's no loser there. They are all winners. Whether you finish in first place or eighth place, they are
Right.
all winners. It is just that some athletes will take home a little bit more than others. But Michael Johnson, I when I look at this idea, this initiative, and I break it down, the man is a genius, and and what I really want to ask is, I think this is a top tier event. And what I want to ask you, Fabian, is, I mean, in Jamaica, we would say MJ a go on with himself. You understand? He is really doing a big thing. How good is this event? How good is this for the sport? Is this setting a good example for where the sport can be?
Yes, that's a great question, HP. And yes, it is. For too long, I believe track and field has kind of used this model that's kind of been handed down, whether professionally or in the respective countries. And Michael Johnson is saying, you know what, we need to do something dynamic, something outside the box. And as I said, credit to him and his team for coming up with this format. Very creative. I mean, the buzz in this, you were there, the buzz in the stands did not stop. Obviously, the sprints will always get, more excitement, but even the long distance races, people were really focused. There wasn't this lull that sometimes we experience in these meets, and that really spoke to the money at stake there too. And there's a freshness. There was a freshness about the meat. So hopefully this can be sustained and even replicated, for that matter, in other parts of the world as well.
Totally, I totally agree with you guys. If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Sorry for the late start, but we had to. get this out because, as I said, we were there as a part of the media representative for the Grand Slam, and of course, I too have to send a big shout out to Michael Johnson for allowing us, the small people, to be a part of his brand. And let me tell you, we were treated royally, we were treated well, and everything. So if you're just coming, welcome. And we just want to talk about our experience at the Grand Slam. And of course, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, welcome, welcome. A Forbes, I'm seeing you. He said pleasant evening. Tony P saying greetings everyone. Forbes is also saying agree with Fabian. There's Jacori's story is really the story of the Miami Slam, and I totally agree 100%. But Fabian, going back to us and our experience and how we felt. Before I ask you my next question, just tell me when you first turn up there. I did not see you on Friday, so I'm going to assume that you came Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, that
Am I
is correct. That is correct.
okay?
Yeah, yes,
When
you
you
are correct.
first
And I
enter,
covered.
when you first enter the venue, what was going through your mind when you came through and you come around, and just tell me a little bit about the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, well, for me, I've covered events for 20 plus years for the Miami Herald. And, I just wanted to get a sense of what this new thing was, almost like a new toy that was being unveiled on Christmas morning. So I wanted to come there and just get a feel of energy. And the minute I stuck my head into the media room, and it seemed like an elite international meet. The professionalism there, the way we were treated, HP was just people, the team going out of their way to make us feel comfortable, accommodated, and as I said, for a first time meet, making its US debut, it was a pleasant surprise for me.
And yeah, you're right. Because when I got there on Friday, I went to get my accreditation. Of course, we came through, and I went and I get my stuff. And as I showed up there, and I told them my name and that I was affiliated with HP Chat Track. And I heard one of the guys saying,
Mhm.
"It's okay. I got Heather. I have her stuff right here." So from then,
Right,
just feel that just the personal touch was remarkable. And of course, everybody was so polite. And when I walked in the media room, there were no familiar faces, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only one here. I know nobody here. And I sat down at one of the table. And when I sat down at the table and putting out my stuff, people just came over and they're like, "Hi, how are you? My name is," and they introduce themselves and they tell you which brand they're affiliated with. And of course, they're asking which brand which company or brand you're affiliated with. So it was, and in no time, it became a family unit in the media room. There were no strangers there. There was
right.
food, there were snacks, there was water, everything was there. We were in air condition. It was just a nice setup. And I look forward to it for every day, the 3 days. I was like, wow, this is really happening. And another thing that I like too is that where we were set up is that we were able to see all the athletes coming off the track. All the athletes had to pass where we were in order to go to
Right.
their cool down or warm down areas. So it was just, it's like I was at an international meet. It's like maybe the Olympics or another. It was impressive and everybody were friendly. And then of course when they found out that, I'm a Jamaican, other media
Mhm.
people started asking me, so in the women's 100, who do you think will win that race? And of course, I gave them a little of Akira Nugent's background in that she was considered, in my views, based on her credentials, she was the favorite in that race. I actually had her as the favorite in Jamaica, but of course, Daniel, another Jamaican, did not disappoint. And a media person asked me a question. They said to me, she said, "Does all the Jamaican athletes sprint, learn to sprint?" And I said to her, I said, "Look, one of the first thing I think that we learn to do is sprint. So whether
Right.
you're an 800-meter runner, whether you're a hurdler, whether you're a jumper, there is some sprinting in all our athletes. There is some sprinting. But let me ask
Yeah.
you this
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
As it go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Heather. I'm ready for your question.
Okay, okay. In terms of showcasing, I think we've seen some talent doing some stuff, but let me ask you, national representation and national pride, how important do you think national pride is within the Grand Slam series?
Yes, I think it's very important, and it has always been important. And obviously, these athletes, they face each other for years, and they visit the same meet. So, and they know when they get home, it's a big deal. When track athletes from Jamaica, when they come home, they are, there's an embrace there that might be unique to some other countries. Sprinting is in our blood. Sprinting especially is in our blood, and I would say that track and field is a religion in Jamaica. So, and now we see other countries, both in South America, Central America, where their track programs have picked up over the years, and they've become more competitive as well. And just given where we are, I think that's something that we can all cling to. That there are other things beyond our control, the politics and this and that and other things that is going on in this world. But one thing we can always do is just feel this joy in watching a track meet or looking at the results online, and that is something that gives us happiness, and I think that plays a big part as well.
I am going to agree with you again. I think sports is one of those things that bring people together. And you can go to a sport event alone, and by the time you leave there, you are in a WhatsApp group. By the
Right.
time you leave there, by the time you leave there, a WhatsApp group is formed and you've met new friends. Because as I said before, when I got there, I didn't know anybody and I was like, oh my God, I should have brought somebody with me. But within a few
Right.
minutes, I had friends, I mean, I met someone from Trinidad and Tobago. I met someone
Right.
from the United States. I met people from other parts and stuff. A lot of Jamaicans were in the house. When I met you guys on Saturday, you and Jason, where's Jason? Jason was supposed to be here tonight. Hopefully he
Right.
can jump on before we jump off. But it was just it was just outstanding, and that's one of the things that sports does. It brings people together, and I think an event like this can also inspire generations to come. Your thoughts?
Yes, no doubt. And I don't know where we'd be without sport, without track and field in this instance, and bringing us together where who knows what are the chances of us meeting ever, right? But sport has always been this meeting place for people to come together and really, find out the commonalities. Find out that yes, you might come from Costa Rica or Brazil or Jamaica, but we cook the same. We have some of the similar cultures and stuff, and then and this is what travel does, and that's why I think for young people it's very, very important to travel out and see other people's cultures as well, and just get a different worldview than if you had stayed in your community.
I totally agree. The exposure is good, and as I said earlier, when it was discovered that I am from Jamaica, the first thing they started asking about is sprinting. If all
Mm,
our athletes are involved in sprinting and a race with Jamaica in it. And another thing, I'm going to tell you something, and this doesn't have anything to do with track and field. Um, a journalist came up to me and asked me what are my thoughts on the fact that Vibes Cartel is now out of prison. And I'm like, we're at a sport event. Oh, this question. But the fact that I'm from Jamaica,
right.
they just want to know about Jamaica and what is happening. And that's the thing, when you're in a diverse community, and the minute people
Yeah.
discover that, I don't know what it is about us, but the minute they discover that you're from Jamaica, they want to know this. They want to know about the food. They want to know about the jerk chicken. They want to know about the curry goat. They want to know if you can cook. So that was one of the things that I was enjoying. The different communities coming together. Nobody stand off or anything. Everybody just wanted to know that we're all one. And what do we have in common? Track and field.
Hmm.
Track and
No doubt.
field we have
Yeah.
in common. But
Hmm.
let us start. Another thing that caught my attention was the event setup and the how the entire venue was set up. Your thoughts on the aesthetic of the whole setup and just the whole environment, how it was set up.
Well, I have to tell you, Heather, that this clearly was a well thought out plan. This wasn't something that was just kind of rushed together. And while you're speaking, I was thinking I didn't witness or hear of one glitch or a major glitch for that matter. I'm sure there. So I think that really speaks to the preparation involved in this and the team once again that Michael Johnson assembled, from the announcing, to the officials, to the media room, to the even where, as you said, the athletes paraded through for interviews. All of it ran seamlessly. And as far as the whole setup, I don't think that weekend could have gone any better. Point blank.
I think you're reading my mind because normally when I go to places like those, there are a lot of things that I look at, and let me tell you, I could not find one thing that I can say the organizers needed to improve on. Everything was nicely laid out. How you come into the venue, how you get out, going through the gate, the media people going their way, the athletes, the entire thing was all the T's were crossed and all the
Right.
I's were dotted. For me, the event
And,
was more than. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead,
Heather,
Fabian.
if I could just interject here, uh,
Mhm.
pardon me. We talk about events, and obviously we come to see the big stars, right? The international stars, the Olympic champions. But when we go to these meets, we are making a new relationship with not only the meet, but with these athletes. And I think what we remember most from events is how we felt at that event, no matter if records were broken or not. But do you want to go back to the event? And I can't wait for, if it's next year, to go back to this event. That is how I feel about this event.
I think you are definitely in my mind because what I was going to say is that in life, people, while someone will forget what you say, they will never forget how you
Right.
make them feel. That was the next thing I was
Yeah.
going to say. But one of the things that stand out for me, and it's something that I've always spoke about, it was the fans' experience. The fans' experience was at another level, and I've not seen it anywhere else. Not even when I watch global meets on TV, I've not seen that, and I could see that fans' experience was very much a part of the planning and the execution of this whole series because you saw where fans get involved, fans were interacting with the athletes, they were interacting with everyone. It wasn't boring. It wasn't boring. It was like a big carnival. It was like a big
Yes.
carnival. People come with their crew. They hang out, they eat, they drink, they chat, they laugh, and wait to go back. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard of this, the first thing I was saying, why 3 days? 3 days
Mm,
seems long. But let me tell you,
right.
I went the first day, I could not wait for Saturday to go back and to
Mm,
Sunday go back. So fans experience was very much in the middle of all the planning that the organizers were doing
yeah.
for this event. And let me tell you, Michael is MJ, as I call him. He is a genius in putting this together, and I cannot wait to have him in a real interview to ask him all the questions I want to ask him, like how did you come up with this idea? When did this idea enter your head? How did you come up with setting up the groups, the event groups? How did you choose the athletes? Those are all of some of the questions that I would
Hmm.
love to ask him. So hopefully, after
Right.
all of this, I can get a chat with him. Your thoughts, Fabian?
Yes, and as you're speaking, I'm thinking of when we go to these meets, right? We feel like we're back home. We feel like we're back home, and that's what we all seek. Whether we go to the local patty shop or the bar or whatever the case might be. But once you're in this meet now, because we all remember these meets growing up in Jamaica, and it was such a big deal to go from a youngster through high school, if it stayed for college, whatever the case might be. But that was an event all to itself. We know the passion that we see in champs, how people flying from every corner of the earth, literally, to witness a champs, right? So I don't see anything similar to champs in any other country. So when we go to these meets, we're trying to relive our experiences from home.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And before we go any further, welcome, welcome if you're just joining us. Of course, the title speaks for itself. We're all about Grand Slam track series. That's what we're talking about tonight. And we were there as a part of the media representative for this this wonderful, wonderful brand. And as I said before, I want to big up Michael Johnson again and his team for letting us small people in, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about. But before we go any further, welcome JW Sports, welcome, welcome. JW Sports is asking, did they have more crowds in Miami than in Kingston? Thought day two in Kingston was almost doubled that of Miami. Well, I'm not sure of the capacity of the stadium in Miramar, but what I can tell you is that Saturday and Sunday were sold out, and Friday was almost sold out, I think. But I know for sure that Saturday and Sunday were sold out. All the stands, all the seats, people standing, people around. It was sold out and stuff. So the crowd were there, the people turn out 3 days in Florida. And let me tell you, the music, you know what I like too, Fabian? The music that
Mm,
was playing while the races were running. It was just, there was a blend of
right,
what was happening on the track and what the DJ was doing, and
right.
it keeps the fans in a certain mood because we were in media and I did not the first day I did not eat early and I did not feel hungry until after everything else was finished. That's the kind of mood and energy, and people kept asking, "Are you okay?" When they didn't remember my name, they said, "Jamaica, are you okay?" And I said, "Yes, I'm fine," because the
Mhm.
mood and just the whole energy was a real vibe. And I was even more happy to see that the fans were involved because I'm one of those people who lobby for the fans that we need a little bit more when we go to track and field meets, and Michael Johnson has made that happen. Your thoughts?
Yes, well, that's the first thing I really noticed was the DJ when I walked in. and I heard the DJ, and I was just standing up there, really looking and just listening to what direction he was going. But to your point, he was playing all different genres there, representative of the different athletes from the different nations as well, and I thought that was key. And obviously in the stands, the bleacher section rising up at key moments, more so in the sprints, and some people even dancing in the stands as well. You know what I mean? So it really felt, as you said, more like a festival more than a track meet. Than a track
Indeed,
meet.
and that was exactly how I felt. But let us talk about grouping the events, because that's one of my favorite part, and I'm going to tell you why it is one of my favorite part. I have always been saying if an event is not working for an athlete, I think that athlete should explore other events. And what this event has done, what Grand Slam track has done, it has influenced or motivate athletes to try another event outside of their pet event. Your thoughts on that? I would love Michael to tell me how he came up with that concept to group events, the long sprints, the short sprints, the long hurdles, short hurdles. I mean, those are the terms I am using now.
Yes, as I said earlier, I think it's brilliant. It's something outside the box, and I think it added even more intrigue to this meet outside of the obvious nice prize money, $100,000 for each group winner. But the mere fact now that we're seeing an athlete compete in something that we have maybe never seen them compete in, something similar, but not this. Each athlete has their specialty. Typically it's one or two races, but for them to do something now that maybe they haven't done since college or high school, for that matter, really added a little more spice to this meet overall.
Indeed, indeed. And I remember in an interview with Akira Nugent, I asked her about doing the 100 meters. How is the 100 meters helping her? And she said she appreciates the Grand Slam because now she can, instead of just seen as a hurdler on the circuit, she can now get into other meets as a 100-meter runner. And definitely she will be working on that. And that is why I said that this product, this initiative, I think it is good for the sport in more ways than one, because now athletes are realizing that, hey, I can run a 100 meters in 11.09 seconds.
Hmm.
And I am not a typical sprinter. I'm a sprinter, but I'm a hurdler. And for me to be running, and if you look at the short sprints, if you look the short hurdles, I should say, the two legs of the short hurdles were won by Jamaicans.
Hmm.
And it is the 100 meters that propels them to that championship. When Danielle won it, it was a 100-meter that pushed up her points, making her the winner, and Akira Nugent repeated that. So I like that very much. But let me ask you, how do you think athletes will gravitate, or will they be motivated more now to explore other events?
I think to some degree, but they're going to go where their bread is buttered the most, and that is still their signature event. That is the one they've been probably training in, for X amount of years, especially on the professional level. So they obviously are going to go where they have the best chance to succeed and win the prize money. But I think this has opened up their eyes to really giving them even more exposure than just to be known as a 100-meter runner, for example, or a quarter miler only. and we're talking about sponsorship opportunities as well. And this is
Mhm.
obviously an area that that has fallen short for athletes. I am really amazed by the amount of athletes that I assumed had shoe deals and they do not. I'm like, wow, how does this happen? I mean, how hard is it to have a shoe deal? I mean, literally, everybody at this level is the best in the world. They should all have shoe deals. And that they don't boggles my mind, to be honest. You know what I mean? So now, not to say they're going to do this every meet, but I do think if this continues taking off like it is, there are going to be imitations, and that's what we do know, that when something is successful, it's just a matter of time before it's replicated.
And you know something, one of the things that I observed, and this is on the track now, one of the things that I've observed, I've seen athletes who are not, a, an event is not their tradition event, and they have come to the Grand
Right,
Slam and dominate those events over the athletes who that event is their event. And
right,
when you look at Sydney, when you look at Sydney McLaughlin, when you look at Alison Dos Santos dominating event that is not their pet event,
right.
it shows that we have athletes out there who are so versatile. When you look at even Gabby Thomas, when you look at NASA, who is running 200 meters, and I'm like, this event is not your event. Why are you doing so well at this event? Is it the money?
Yeah, I think it's more than a money, because one thing that these athletes do have in common is they like to push themselves, and they can stay sharp. And imagine doing the same thing for X amount of years, just literally getting up and training for the one or two events. That must get mundane. I'm always amazed by the athlete's ability to show up every day doing the same thing, right? Because it's not natural for us to do that. The amount of discipline, and I even talked to Usain, the great Usain Bolt, about this. When I interviewed him, I said, like, how do you get up? Like, how did you keep that fire burning? And he talked about, just having a great support system around him. So I do think if they're going to try a different event every now and then, that's actually going to help them keep fresh for the signature events that they are known for.
I like it because I've always been one of those people to say, why are you in an event struggling? Please try another event. Are we going to see more athletes now trying other events? Do you think we will see that? Do you think the Grand Slam will now push a 400-meter hurdles athletes to run 400, even though some of them do? But look at even Melissa Jefferson. Melissa Jefferson is slowly turning into a 200-meter runner.
Right, and to your point, if it's not working, and that's what I said. That's the great thing with these athletes, that they are so versatile. And as you said, if they're not reaching peak form, peak time, and they're young enough, maybe they can change gears and try another event. So at least now, this whole meet, this Grand Slam series meet, has maybe opened up the eyes for some of these athletes to, maybe dip their toes in some other water right now.
Indeed, indeed. A Forbes is saying they had excellent officiating based on what I saw. Let me tell you something, Forbes. The officiating was off the charts. They did not miss a beat. Wherever they were on point. They were like, forgive me for saying this, but they were like robots. They knew what they had to do and they just moved to it, and there were no errors. Whether they were at the back, even the security, it was just amazing. If there were any errors or flaws, I did not see any. It was too minimal to be seen with the naked eye, just like how we're not able to see some false start with the naked eye. That's how
Right.
it was. And we have to call a spade a spade. This, to me, when I break it down, this is a good event. This is good for the sport. This is now showing us that athletes can peak early. You can start your season very early. That is one of the things that I'm seeing, because what these athletes are doing started in early April in Jamaica. It is remarkable, and it shows that. So to me, this will now, I think, my next question, Fabian, is, do you think as this meet grow, we are going to see more top athletes wanting to be a part of the party?
I think without a doubt. And while this meet was going on Saturday, I thought of this quote, this saying, "Build it and they will come." This is what came to mind for me, right? That all it needed was somebody to build it, to have that vision, and thankfully Michael Johnson had that vision. But without a doubt, and as long as they can continue to secure sponsorship, we know everything starts and stops with money. I don't see why this cannot be sustained. And as I said, we're going to see various imitations of this popping up all over the world. Because, as I said, it has sparked interest, and a track as dynamic as track is, there is still room for improvement, and there will always be room for it. And this seemed to be the perfect shot in the arm that it needed.
Indeed, we, as you said, build it and they will come. I like that saying, because sometimes we think that we have to see the customers
Right.
before we set up a business. So, and it goes back to a point that I want to make, and this has to do with Jamaica now, where I have been begging for a middle and long distance club
Mm,
for our athletes, and people will say, but when they leave school, they are walking away from the sport. I said, if we create a space for them, they will come.
yeah.
And Steve Francis proved that when he started the MVP track club over 20 years ago. When he started, I think he only had Bridget Foster Hilton. And look at the success now that the MVP track club has had. So as you said, build it and they will come, and that is what Michael Johnson has done. But another point I want to make, and I want your thoughts on it. This series, the Grand Slam series, is not just about the top athletes. He's mixing it up, the runners, the challengers. That's another question I want to ask Michael. How did he come up with who is the challenger and who is the runners? I think that is another creative touch that he put to it. He's mixing it up, the top athletes and the not so top athletes. Your thoughts?
Once again, I think it's genius. I mean, for the challenges now, and maybe getting that exposure that they would not necessarily have gotten. For them to be there, literally. When you talk about mixing it up, they're mixing it up with the creme de la creme in the world. And which athlete would not want to be on that stage, right? So once again, Michael has that vision and had that vision, and for him to see, hey, you know what, I'm going to sprinkle in some of these athletes that maybe have not arrived yet, or for whatever reason have not gotten, that exposure, but now there's a meet out there that they can all aspire to be a part of.
Indeed, indeed, because there are athletes that have not been invited to the Diamond League. They've never been in a Diamond League race, and to be
Mhm.
in an event of this magnitude, I'm sure it is a big deal for them. But my next question is, can the Grand Slam influence change in how sport events are done? Is it that Michael Johnson is setting the bar too high?
No, I don't think it's setting the bar too high. because the two event system here is not like they're asking them to go out there and throw a discus or a shot put or anything like that. So it's close enough aligned with what they are doing anyway. But once again, it's piquing the curiosity to say, well, you know what? I seen this guy run 100 and 200, but I never seen him run a 110 high hurdles, for example. I'd love to see that. That is something that I've never seen. I might not even see again. So once again, but as far as for other sports, I'm not sure, but people are taking notice because in researching, Friday's results and just kind of perusing some of the articles about the Grand Slam, we saw some major media outlets covering it. They got some very good coverage because it's early in the year, right? Very early in the track season, and for this to garner that much attention really speaks to, I think, its sustainability.
I would love to see more because I love entertainment. I love when I go out. When I go out, I intend to enjoy myself. So whether it's sports, whether it's a party, whether it's just to hang out, there must be a certain vibe
A
there.
vibe, a vibe, yeah.
There must be a vibe. And let me tell you, the Grand Slam track series have that vibe. And
Yeah.
that was what I liked about it. And the innovative format, I don't know, but I need, as I said before, I need to have a talk with Michael because I mean, blending the elite athletes with entertainment and fans interaction, not a lot of track and field events can get those three together.
You're
Not
right.
a lot of them, and I would love to see. And what I like, it was athlete centered. It was athlete centered, fan centered. Those are some of the things that I recognize that they put a lot of focus on making the athletes comfortable and happy. A matter of fact, they did it for everybody because we were very much comfortable. We were in our own little space as VIPs.
Yes, no doubt. And before we go any further, I just want to thank everybody in the audience for following you. Heather, thanks for joining us. Feel free to join and share this show with others. Heather is really doing a great job of building this track community. I feel her passion, her energy. Meeting her for the first time this weekend, and it was just, she's a force of nature. She loves track. She loves the athletes, and she's a great ambassador for the sport. So congratulations to you, Heather, and also to your audience members as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for saying that. Fabian, I try to suppress my passion for the sport, but sometimes it gets ahead of me and I don't even realize. So thank you very much for that though. And guys, please to remember to share and to like as Fabian said. And of course, we're here talking about our experience at the Grand Slam track series, the Miami Slam that was just a breath of fresh air. And of
Mhm.
course, Miami brought the heat and we enjoyed it to the fullest. Let us talk about media collaboration. Michael Johnson is smart, you know.
How
Michael
so?
Johnson, Michael Johnson is a smart man. He is smart. He and his
Mm.
team, they are smart in their media collaboration. And you
Mm.
know, I just want to say, and I've said it before, and I know I'm going to say it again. I just want to say thanks to him for letting us in. You know, the small people who are trying to bring some traction to our legacy, our country's legacy, our region's legacy, and
Hmm.
he was able to bring us in, and he had media people from the bottom all the way up, and I really, really appreciate that because I can tell you that I have been trying to get accreditation to meet in my country, and
Right.
is one of the toughest things. So I have to big up Michael Johnson for letting people like me in and others who talk about the same thing. We're just here trying to do a one man thing, and we were a part of this collaborating with this outstanding product.
And
So,
and
Michael, go ahead, Fabian.
yeah, and Heather, a big thing for me was that Michael was walking the grounds regularly.
Yes.
He wasn't up in some booth somewhere, just overseeing everything. I literally saw the man maybe 8 times in the 2 days. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Walking, shaking hands, waving to people, making that, I call it an emotional connection with people. People can
Hmm.
say they actually saw the greatest quarter miler in many people's eyes, and that they were able to reach out and say something to him. And so that is so important, especially when you're embarking on something new. Like people need to see you. They need to go home now or take somebody or take a picture. That's Michael Johnson. I actually saw him. It's a big deal because
Yeah.
he's a big deal. So once
Yeah.
again, Michael is a brilliant man, and as you said, a well thought out plan. And if we think about Michael Johnson, the runner, right, the great technician, this was a guy when he ran, man. He was a machine, right? I can almost picture him coming around the bend, right, with the gold spikes. Remember Michael Johnson? But what really stood out, he was such a technician, and you can just
Hmm.
tell his training was just so detail oriented, right? And he has carried that over now to putting this great Grand Slam event together. So those traits and habits are still there.
And you are right about that. That's very good observation because when you are a brand, when you're associated with a brand, visibility is very,
Yeah,
very important. Very extremely important. And what I liked was that after the meet was finished on Sunday, he was brought to us so that we could get a word with him. And I
right,
have entire script written for Michael because I've wanted to interview Michael on this program for more than a year. So
right,
when I got him on Sunday, I was like, wow, here I am interviewing this man who I've been trying to get for so long. And because it was so many of us in the media booth right there, I
mhm,
wanted to ask just one question to be mindful of everybody else, to allow others to get their questions in. But I could not help myself. I asked him three questions and
right,
I was allowed to ask him those questions. So he was everywhere. Everywhere I turned, I would see him. He was very visible. He wasn't hiding. He was there is his event and he was there mingling and talking to people and having his water and saying hello and all of
right.
that. That is, let me tell you, he hit the jackpot. He did everything right, and two legs to go. And let me tell you, I can just imagine what Philadelphia and LA will be like. Your thoughts?
Yes, once again, and Michael being now a part of the media, great commentator, and just to hear him now share his own experiences as a runner. So he gets the media side as well. Very savvy guy, overall. And as you said, when we interviewed him, there was no trying to rush us through. We have a limited amount of time or questions. No
Mm.
restrictions were put on us. I asked him 2 questions, you asked him three. He was patient. He stood there and he answered everybody's question. And as I said, once again, that's a credit to him and him being aware, being aware of how important it is for him to make that connection with the media and just with the fans overall.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. I don't know. I could talk about this event over and over and over again because it was just so well planned. And you know something, I've always said that I think that people who have been in sport, people who have been athletes need to be a part of they need to be a part of the party because they know what the athletes want because they were once there. So they understand the needs and they know. So this that he is doing, he is giving the athletes what he would have wanted for himself. And this is why he and his team can get it right. But it is just remarkable. I enjoyed my experience. I had a good time. I had a good time meeting new people, including you and and a lot of other people from other parts of the world and people from the United States. I mean, I was chatting with security guards, I was chatting with the officials, I was talking to the cleaning people because there were some people who come through and cleaning. I was having conversations with them. It was a big carnival, and I enjoyed it to the max. So those are some of the thoughts, guys, that we had tonight. Fabian, if you have any other thoughts that you would like to share, but before we go, if you should pick one event over the weekend, which would it be? I know that I'm putting you on the spot.
Ah, I'd
I
say
know.
I say, we take Cindy McLaughlin Revron's dominance for granted. She has now won, I believe, 12 straight finals in the 400-meter hurdles. No small feat. Anybody who has ran track or been around track knows that the 400-meter hurdles is a beast of a race. Okay, that race will tell you who you are. Okay, and for her to run off 12 straight victories, final victories, is really amazing. And I believe she has broken the world record like 6 times during that span. But yes, there is a number of memorable performances, but we are seeing something that we've never seen before on this kind of Michael Jordan kind of level, Usain Bolt kind of level, and we need to pay attention to it.
I totally agree. I've never seen anything like this in track and field, and Michael was very strategic in what he was doing, and that is why I want to pick his brain. I want to know how long he was sleeping on this one, how long he was there. I think Jason is trying to join us.
Mhm.
Let's see. Jason is there. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Me there.
All
I see.
right. We are here. We were just about to wrap up, but now that you are here, we have to ask you a few questions. What are your thoughts on Miami Slam, the Grand Slam track series?
Well, the event was vibes. Meeting people like you, media area was vibes. Love the fact, I love the stories that came out of it. Jaheim and was it Jacori, the UPS guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people them opportunity for the people them who don't know make money for make some money. So, but I love them vibes there. Um, I wish there was more outreach to Caribbean media, as you know, I said that consistently. But that being said, though, good vibes, good vibes.
I
Next year,
totally
gonna be
agree.
10 times.
I
Next year, gonna
totally
be ten
agree.
times bigger.
And
Yeah,
that's what Fabian and myself, we were talking about how well executed the planning and the execution, everything, smooth. It
yeah.
was like a carnival.
Facts, facts.
Tell me about your which event, if you should pick one event, which of the event would you consider to be? I mean, they were all top tier races and stuff, but if I'm paying you big money to pick one, which one would it be? Mm.
I don't forget about time between the 100 meter and the 200 meter.
Okay, so that would be the short sprints
Yeah.
for the
That
men
being
or the
said,
women?
But that being said, though, Megan Tapper's reaction after she run was her personal best. She never win, but she ran her personal best. Her reaction, yeah, vibes,
When that
vibes.
gun went
Megan
off, no, when that gun went off, Megan was gone like a bullet.
Tapper, is it?
She she was out and gone. But
Is it?
the energy from Megan, I tell you, even Akira Nugent, when she discovered that she won overall, it was amazing. It was just
Yeah,
amazing.
man. I forget. Go check Miss Nugent, for a little borrows a little money, because things rough. I forgot to talk to her about some money.
Man, I tell you, but let me ask you, Jason, before we go. Now that you're here, we stay a few more minutes. How do you think? Okay, so Jason is buffering a little bit. Seems as if his Wi-Fi is challenging. The question that I wanted to ask Jason, I'm trying to remember if I asked you already, Fabian. I think I asked you already. How will this meet the Grand Slam track? How will this impact track and field overall?
Well, at the end of the day, this is about competition as well. I mean, yes, there's a track community, but entities are here to make money, right? So I'm sure there'll be some pushback if there's not already on this new format because it really shakes things up. It shakes up the status quo, and if it remains successful, people are going to look at their own event if they're not already doing so and saying, "Hey, what can we do differently?" So I think it's going to be a win-win for the fans and for the athletes as well. But this will definitely make an impact. People are sitting up and taking stock of the Grand Slam series. We might even see some new races on the horizon and some earlier races on the horizon as well as a result of the Grand Slam series.
Wow. I did ask Michael in that short interview. I asked him, I said to him that I wish I had the clip to play, but I did not upload it. But I did ask him, I said the athletes they are praising the Grand Slam. Is the Grand Slam here to stay? And he assured me that yes, it is here to stay. So I think it will be around for a long time based on what he said.
Right.
So, but the next question I want to ask is, will we see more athletes falling out the woodworks?
Falling out in terms of what?
In
What do you
terms
mean?
of producing more athletes, will we see more athletes coming to the fore? Will track and field become more competitive?
Hmm. That's a great question. There's always what a young athlete chooses to do is that's where everything starts. But we follow success. We follow success, Heather. So if we see track and field is thriving, they have a new meet. As I said, we're going to see replicas of this now on even the youth level. I would imagine, right? Because it is exciting. It's something now that it has really uh, made created a buzz in the track community. So I don't know why we wouldn't see this on maybe the AAU level, the maybe even the juniors level to some degree. But people are sitting up and taking notice of this for sure. And anytime that there is success, something new, uh, people want to be a part of it.
People want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. But in just wrapping up, I think maybe we lost Jason there. But what are your in a summary? What what is your overall thought of the Grand Slam series and it being top tier and us being a part of it? What is your overall thought?
Well, I personally, for one, I love track and field, and for me to, I've been there this past weekend was really, really special to me, because, just not only the quality of athletes there, we had the Olympic champions galore, national champions, and the like, but also, as I said, this is something new. This is something new. This is something fresh. And this is something, Heather, that we can say that we were there when this was birthed, literally. You know what I mean? And so I expect this to continue. I think they're even going. I don't think this blueprint is even going to dry. I think they're always looking at ways to even improve it. But the overriding thing really doesn't have to do with track and field for me. It has to do with us looking at ourselves and saying, hey, is there something in my life that is maybe not working? Maybe a business, whatever the case might be, that I just need to find a different way, something outside of the box. This is something that maybe we can all relate to and say, if why am I keep doing the same thing over and over, yielding the same results? Maybe I need to do what Michael Johnson did with the Grand Slam events.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Uh, totally agree with you on that. And while you were talking, I was thinking about something. And, in my summary, too, in summing up the whole thing, is that HB Chat Trap being a part of the Grand Slam series is an experience, and it's an experience that I will always, remember. Being a media representative, I'll always remember that. And another thing that I observed, it was well thought of, it was well documented, it was designed with the athletes in mind, the fans in mind, everybody in mind. And it wasn't just about the elite athletes, but it was mixing it up with athletes that would not have gotten an opportunity to go on the Diamond League circuit. So those are some of the things I look at. And as I said before, the fans' engagement, the fans. I mean, I saw the athletes doing TikTok with the fans, and that you don't see that every day. And it was just refreshing to see the difference, and mixing entertainment with sports, and producing, and bringing it to this wonderful product that now is buzzing, and it's been trending all weekend, is just outstanding. But the story for me is Mr. Ja'Cory Patterson. That is the story that I will remember for a long time. Working a 9 to 5 job, not just a 9 to 5, but an overnight shift
Right.
job, and still find the energy to go out there and run. And
Mhm.
he ran what, 43? He ran a personal best.
Yes, yes.
He ran a personal best. Outstanding.
Hmm.
I'm just happy for him. And that is, just to tell you, that is a story of resilience, discipline, and unyielding. And we have to thank the Grand Slam track series for what they're doing, and just involving everybody, the little man, the big man, everybody is a part of this. And you know, this is just our thoughts on it, guys. We were there, a part of the team, doing media work and stuff. And big up Michael Johnson and his team for letting in the small people. I hope we stay there forever. In closing, Fabian, I'll give you the last words.
Yes. Just once again, as I said, it was a very, very memorable event. It was it's something new. It's something fresh. It's something that I believe track needed. As great as track is, we should always be looking to push the envelope. As far as I'm concerned, certain things get outdated. And as I said, Michael Johnson said, you know what? I have this credibility. My resume speaks for itself. So he can get people on the phone that maybe, most of us can't, and using that leverage, that power to create better opportunities than even he was afforded and of that generation. So hats off once again to the great Michael Johnson for his vision and for him having the wherewithal to create an easier path, a more lucrative path for today's athletes.
Indeed, indeed. And with that said, JW is saying, HP, remember that the Grand Slam track has left out a fundamental part of track and field, which is the field events. Well, I am going to defend them based on that. Here's Michael Johnson. He's doing something for track. So I'm saying someone else can pick up the other part of it, which is the field part of it, and do something equally. Sometimes we cannot depend on one person to do everything. So he's doing track and it is working. So we just need someone now to say, okay, Michael is doing part of it. Let me do the other part of it. So I don't think it was a case where he left out the field. He is just focusing on one part of it. And that's my thing. Somebody else can focus on the other part of it. This is a good start. What he's doing, it is a good start for track athletes. And I'm just hoping that someone will come forward and say, okay, we over here, we are going to do it for the field event athletes. And I would love to see that. I would love to see a meet for field athletes, for all the drums and the throws and all that fancy. So thank you very much, Mr. Johnson, for allowing us to be a part of your brand. And Fabian, 2 down, 2 to go. We will see you. I will see you in Philadelphia, LA.
I'm not sure about that, but I'll definitely be keeping tabs on the results. But looking forward to our next show together, Heather, for sure. This has been great, and I hope our audience has enjoyed it as well. It's been an honor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Fabian, and we will definitely talk some more. Have a good night. Thank you, sir.
All right, same to you. God bless. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you very much, guys, for sticking around and staying with us. And even though we started late, but I really wanted to get this done. Fabian had another show and he was running a little bit late. But thank you for staying with us and, just listening to our experience at the Grand Slam. It was unforgettable. The energy was high. It was fun meeting people, hanging out, the music, the food, meeting other Jamaicans who were also there as officials because they had a lot of Jamaicans working there. They were working as officials and other people. And of course, I get to meet some of them. And it was wonderful. And this is good for the sport. I think it is good for the sport. And sport event organizers have to think about the fans when they are planning an event. You have to ensure that your fans enjoy your event, and you have to ensure that they have a very good experience because that's the only way you will get them to come back. So with that said, guys, thank you for being here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you Thursday night. Guess who I will have on the show Thursday night? Thursday night, I will have Mr. Wayne Pinnock. Yes, Wayne Pinnock will be in the house Thursday night. So make sure that you're here the same time Thursday night. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. if you're in Jamaica. Be here. Don't miss that. I'll be having a chat with Wayne Pinnock to hear his story, his journey, and everything. So I will see you Thursday night. Thank you very much. Thank you, Africa, for tuning in. Thank you, Europe. Thank you, North America. Thank you, South America. Thank you, Antarctica, Oceanic. Thank you, Asia, all 7 continents. Thank you for tuning in. And it is all about track and field Grand Slam track series. Thank you very much, Michael Johnson. Have a good night, everyone.